Hey, everybody. Welcome to the TEConnect podcast. I'm John Martin.
And I'm Dean Reverman.
Dean, how often do you go to the grocery store?
Oh, well, me personally?
Yeah.
Or as a family?
Are you the shopper in the family?
I'm
You're
not. No. But we as a family go probably 3 times a week, I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when you go...
And throw in one of those, because we do the online order
Right,
as well.
which I'm a big fan of that as well. I agree. Ever since the Kroger click list, pick up whatever came along, I was an early adopter, been all over that, love it.
Yeah.
But now, when you do go, are you a get in and out quick guy, or do you like to browse?
No. I'm a dude through and through, in and out. I no time for window shopping or anything like that, which is the exact opposite of, well, actually, my wife, she's very, to the point as well. But kids. So in my household, if I go, there's a lot of discretionary purchasing that happens when I'm with the kids, and I get berated when I get home by why does this anyway? How did all this end up in the shopping cart?
Yeah, my son has learned that if I go to the store, that means he gets a toy. So and he hates it if I take him with me to go do a pickup, and it's just the outside pickup. He's like, Daddy, why can't we go in the store? I'll be like, they're not letting us in today. They won't let us in. But anyway, the point of this is today we're going to talk about grocery trends.
Yes,
we have a great guest with us today. We have Ruth Cooley from ELO. She's going to help us talk a little bit about what's happening in the world of grocery. Obviously, a lot has changed over the last year and a half, 18 months, going on close to 2 years at this point.
No doubt.
So we're going to talk a little bit about some of those changes. We're going to talk about some of the pain points that customers still have about grocery, and maybe how some of the technology that our VARs sell can help address that. We'll get into, again, as we mentioned, we like the whole online order pickup stuff, but stores still like getting people in.
Yes, they do.
It's very important for people to get actual traffic.
Not
going away. So we're going to talk a little bit about how we can help out with that. All that plus our usual value of the VAR and what's TEConnecting with us. It's time to plug in and get connected.
Welcome to the TEConnect podcast. It's time to get connected.
All right, as I mentioned, our guest today, Ruth Cooley. Ruth is the Director of Sales for the Southeast for ELO. Ruth, thank you so much for joining us today. Tell us a little bit more about yourself, your day-to-day role. You mentioned before we got on that you're a transplant to South Carolina, so tell us a little bit about your life.
Sure. I've been with ELO for about 6 years now, and even before that, I worked in digital signage and technology, interactive technology before that. But I do reside in Greenville, South Carolina. I'm still trying to work on my Southern accent. So hopefully, even though I've been here for 15 years, one of these days I will get that beautiful Southern accent going.
Now, did the locals not take you seriously when you don't have the accent? Do they look at you and go a little suspiciously?
No, they don't.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
I absolutely have to pretend and say, hey, how y'all doing? What's going on today? It's beautiful weather, isn't it now? Try to work on my Southern accent as much as possible.
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah, you don't want to walk in there and then immediately look at you and go, what's this Yankee doing here?
Yeah, right.
Come on. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, we appreciate you being with us today, and I'm interested in diving into this topic because we talk a lot about retail in general.
Yeah, we do.
And it's very, it's very broad about all kinds of retail, but different types of retail have different types of problems, obviously. And I think grocery in particular is one that there's a lot of nuance to, what does and doesn't work there and where technology can fit in. So, and obviously, again, grocery was an essential business throughout the pandemic. Had to stay open, had to keep operating at capacity, but we're obviously dealing with issues with supply chain shortages, with labor issues, all kinds of stuff going on, not to mention the fact that people were terrified to go into stores, and there may not have been options for pickup immediately out of the gate. So, what kind of things did you see change the most over the last, again, 18, 19, 20 months, however long we're running now? Like, what's really changed for you in grocery?
Yeah, well, I think the main thing is the way we all shop and what our new comfort level is. It might have been a little bit stricter, when this all started, the pandemic started. And then what we're still seeing now is consumers have a different comfort level from even before the pandemic. So it has influenced how grocer technology needs have evolved. So think about it. Maybe some of us, I was traveling quite a bit before the pandemic. So I did Instacart with Publix, and I went and did that just for my convenience because I didn't have a lot of time to go do stuff. But when the pandemic started, Instacart was my friend, definitely. So, even though my comfort level wasn't, hey, what kind of produce will these folks pick out? What's it going to look like when it arrives at the door? That was my comfort level. And then that's even evolved. So let's think about all these new acronyms out there. BOPIS, which is buy online, pick up in store. And then BOPAC, buy online, pick up at curbside. Just like you were saying, John, with your son going, why can't I go in the store and get a toy now? So, I've tried all of these just to see which one I do like best. Do I still like the delivery? Do I want to pay the additional money? Where's my comfort level? But the consumer is making that choice themselves, and they still are hesitant on a large, percentage to go back to that comfort level before the pandemic. So technology has to evolve and has to catch up in the grocers vertical.
And what's interesting about grocery stores is that, from a retail perspective, it is like the main one, right? Everybody goes to it. You started off by saying, how many times do you go? Well, how many times do I go to like a Target or even a specialty retailer? It's so much less than grocery stores. So they're under like the scrutiny, and you see a lot of the innovation, a lot of things being tested there. Number one. Number two, there's a lot of small grocery stores out there. I mean, I live in the suburbs of Cincinnati, so in Kroger's is around here and stuff like that. But if you just get out of the city, I mean, there's a lot of small mom and pop, even New York, where you used to be, Ruth. There's a lot of small grocery stores out there. But anyway, getting back to, it's like the lifeblood, right, of a society is everybody needs to eat, so everybody's going to the grocery stores, and that's where a lot of these technologies are being tested. And I agree with you. It's an evolution that's going on right now in the space. A lot of stuff happening, not just front of house. Hopefully we get a little bit into the back of the house, because Elo's got an answer there as well with their M50. But, there's just a lot going on there. And it's been really kind of fascinating. If you just take a step back over the last 18 months to see how transformative some of this stuff has been, and where the bets are being placed by like the big Krogers of the world and the at-home delivery and stuff like that. It's really interesting to see how this is all panning out.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting too that like the progression of the online pickup, the pickup at the curb, how much that has to be. Like I said, I was a very early adopter to the whole pickup experience. I was like, okay, because I typically do the grocery shopping. My wife hates to go to the grocery store. I don't blame her. It's not my favorite thing either, but it's one of those things like stick my earbuds in, listen to some music or podcasts, and go do the work. But as soon as we found out, like, hey, they'll bring the groceries to us, all I got to do is shop online from the comfort of your home. Great. But at the same time, over the years, when that wasn't quite as popular as it is now, it could be a bit of a painful experience from time to time too. You might get some, Ruth, you mentioned it, maybe you get some bad produce, or you get a bad substitution, or there's something's missing. You don't know until you get home and you start unloading. The app sometimes wasn't as easy to navigate as you would have liked it to be. There was a lot of painful progressions I saw over the years, in using this particular product, and it's definitely been refined and is a much better process now than it was then. Still, some pain points here and there, but in general, all these stores realized when suddenly it had to be a thing because more people were going to do it. I'm sure there's numbers out there somewhere. I should have researched this, but I would love to know like what the escalation for just maybe a Kroger or any stores in general was, from pre-pandemic to now, of how many people are buying, on this curbside pickup stuff in the grocery space alone. I'm sure it's
got to be
massive,
exponential. Yeah, I mean, just like instantaneously, exponentially growth in that area. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Ruth, we talked a little bit. Can we kind of mention some of the pain points here? And there was some pain points I want us to kind of get into and address that still exist within grocery, and figure out maybe a little bit about how our VARs, the technology that they sell, the technology that Elo has out there, can combat some of these. So Retail Customer Experience had a survey of some customers where they came up with 5 specific pain points. I said 5 and put up a 4. That was very bad showmanship for me if you're watching on the video right now. They picked 5 pain points that customers still have when it comes to grocery. So the first one is checkout errors and pricing mistakes. Number 2 is not enough checkout lanes are open or there are long lines. Number 3 is confusing store layouts. 4 is out of stock items, and 5 is rude and unfriendly cashiers, which I don't know any technology in the world that's going to fix that necessarily. Well, to be fair, I take it back. I guess there is a fix there. Yeah. But we'll let Ruth kind of tee that up. So how do you think we combat some of these?
A couple of these will fall into one. So you're talking about rude or unfriendly cashiers. Nobody ever wants that experience. Like you guys said, you don't even like to go to the grocery store anyway. So then you have to deal with somebody that doesn't have a, decent personality. But there are technology out there, or is technology out there to, to fix these things, or at least make it a little more pleasant. You have self-checkout. We are seeing the grocers, really pushing to have self-checkout in every location, not just the larger ones, not the high volume ones, but everyone, because we talked about comfort level of people. Think about, you don't have to be in front of anyone. You don't have to be in close contact with anyone except for a machine and a touch screen to do self-checkout. So, and you don't have to worry about somebody, putting the wrong pricing in or the wrong produce number for something that you're not buying. So you talked about checkout error, price mistakes. There's a lot of different technology out there to combat that. Even price checkers. Price checkers are not the norm what they used to be. They're now, multi-information centers. It's price checkers, product information, or directories. That's one thing about confusing store layouts you mentioned. Not every store is the same layout, because each store is going to be a little bit different with the real estate they take up, the different aisles, and maybe the demographics they serve in that area. So these things are always going to be confusing, but you talked about the M50 a little earlier, Dean, and you also have that the associate can carry a mobile, our ELO M50 mobile device with them. So if a customer doesn't know where to go, or, hey, I can't find this product, they can look it up on their mobile device, just pull it out of their back pocket. So there's a lot of new technology out there to help combat all these little, nuances that people are, still a little irritated or want to be done with in stores.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, if you're a reseller out there and you don't play in the grocery space, I mean, there's a lot of opportunity. And the reason why I kind of mentioned the fact that, the grocery stores are like under a lens all the time is because a lot of retail happens there. Well, don't be afraid to get in the game here, because there's a lot of game to be had with the technology advancements that are happening in the space. I mean, Ruth touched on a lot of them, but I'm going to go back to a couple of them, like self-checkout. That's huge. They're having a kiosk there. I mean, what can you imagine not having that option right now if you went into a grocery store? I mean, and not having self-checkout, it'd be like, dude, I really am in whatever, the 70s or the 80s.
But I'm sure some of those smaller stores probably still don't.
They may, right, but I think that they're probably looking at the technology. Right. Can they do that, especially for like really fast convenience stuff, right? I mean, there's a lot of different reasons why you go to a grocery store. Maybe it's literally just to get eggs and milk, and that's all I need is eggs and milk, and then boom, I'm out the door. Other times it's I got this long list that I got to do. So people's expectations are changing, and so self-checkout, I think, is getting better and better. It was maybe not so great, at the beginning of the pandemic or whatnot, but you can clearly tell that companies are spending a lot of time on that as well. The integration of POS and WMS, I want to kind of break into that a little bit, because I think that there's a lot of our resellers that can play in that game as well. And that gets to the whole, pricing mistakes or not enough in stock type of a thing. Because if you do invest in time to go to a grocery store, the last thing, it sucks when you go there and there's no product there. Whatever you were looking for and it's not there. And I know we're under a supply chain crunch right now. Tabling that for just a second.
But even outside of that, there was issues with
even
that.
Outside of that, yeah. So you're going to see this marriage between the POS and the WMS. So there's opportunities there. It needs to happen all the way down to the ma and pa grocery store for their ability to have visibility of their inventory in an online environment. And certainly so that they can order better, faster, or whatever. I mean, a lot of that's kind of converging, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think you make a very good point there, too, that when we talk about these trends in the world of grocery, we're not just talking about in-store. Right. We're not just talking about the experience of going and shopping and checking out. It's back of the house. It's part of the supply chain in general. Some of these pain points we talked about here, like pricing mistakes, out-of-stock items, like you said, that's not just about an in-store thing. That goes beyond, which is where, if you're a VAR who doesn't necessarily feel like you specialize in retail. If you're thinking, well, retail's not my thing. I'm supply chain. Okay, great. You still can cash in on some of these trends and these pain points
absolutely.
and help out by providing your technology at a different point in that cycle there.
And again, it's down to the small to medium size operator as well, because they need back of house. I think Ruth's example was dead on. You have an associate that's on the floor, and you do see that a lot. That's the differentiator of the small to medium sized grocery stores, is that they've got people that actually know what is going on and passionate about it, probably family owned type of thing. Well, enable them with the technology so that they can have that mobile device in aisle and say, oh, you know what? We don't have it. The stock's not here, but it's out back or whatever. This is when it's going to come in. Now you're enabling those associates through something like a mobile device like the M50. So,
well, let's be honest. We all remember the days when you went into a store and you asked an associate something and they were like, oh, that way, I think, somewhere over there. Or you're standing there and you're staring up at the signs at the end of the aisles and going, and the thing you need is for some reason not listed because there's just, they stuck bread in the macaroni aisle for some reason because they had a space for it. I don't know.
Toothpicks are, you're not going to list that.
Right. Yeah. There's not a big banner for toothpicks. Right. And I know the apps, like for the big stores will have that kind of locationing stuff in it too.
Yeah.
That can help you out. But yeah, I think it is very handy that if you're enabling your actual workers, and it can be, that's the great thing is I think it could be anybody. It could be someone whose job strictly is just to go to the back, pull stock out, bring it out and stock it. They're probably not someone who, I suppose they should know where stuff is a little more than usual, but maybe just an average cashier or just, someone working part-time, some kid who's just, there part-time a couple of days a week for some extra cash and doesn't know the layout of the store or everything that's happening there. If you're equipping all these folks with some mobile devices and you're like the M50, then that's something that anybody, especially the younger generation, could quickly and easily pop out of their pocket and find some information for you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
All right. Well, hey, those are some good ways to address it. Well, then let's get into the online order, pickup, delivery sphere of things. Obviously, it is all the rage. It's what everyone is excited about, and I am glad that it picked up in prominence, and I'm glad that it's getting better than it was when it originally started. But let's be honest, stores still do want in-person traffic, and as people start getting more comfortable with being back in stores again, and aren't as concerned about what could happen when they're there. Impulse buys are obviously a big part of the business. There was a stat that I pulled up from slickdeals.net. The average U.S. consumer spends close to $5,400 each year on impulse purchases.
Yeah, that's me.
It's huge.
Ruth's raising her hand. Oh, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Pre-kid, I probably wasn't that person. Maybe every once in a while I'd grab a candy bar or something, at the checkout. But I was never I take that back. I guess maybe if I was out shopping in store still and pushing the cart up and down, there's probably a lot of things I would grab that I don't do when I'm shopping online because I have my list and I'm basically just buying my list. Now, some of these places have gotten good at teasing me with other stuff with the impulse buys within their apps too, where they'll be like, hey, here's a recommended thing that's on sale, or here's all your digital coupons. I go, well, I got a coupon for it. I might as well buy it.
That's it.
They're getting good at that, but I don't think it's quite the same thing as getting someone in store where you can quite literally catch their attention with something and get them to grab something else also.
Right.
So Ruth, then how does the display technology, obviously this is Elo's bread and butter here, how does display technology help out with bringing people back in the store and when they're in there, keeping them there and keeping them shopping and buying maybe, piling their cart up a little bit bigger than they initially planned to?
Well, one thing that really jumps out at me are when grocers do store refreshes. Think about it. If you go into a store and it has a new layout, aesthetically pleasing, it's got new technology, you automatically look over to the customer service desk that you usually didn't look at because now they have customer facing displays for you to interact with. New technology, think about the deli or the prepared foods like subs and sandwiches. If you put technology there where people don't actually have to wait in a deep line and they can just put their sandwich order in or their food order and continue shopping, you will then get those impulse buys back again. And it will draw their attention to other areas of the store they may not have gone to or other, tabletops that if you have some type of product information display. One thing that stuck out in my mind, especially during these times, think about pharmacy. If you have product information display there that you can interact with, and you have some type of symptoms going on, but you don't think you're sick, it's just maybe allergies, you probably want to go there and quickly identify what will be my best remedy here, or beauty. One thing I'd love to see more grocers do is in the wine section. I see so many people, not saying I go down there often, maybe I do, but we see a lot of people hovering there, not knowing which wines to buy with the steak, with the fish, with the chicken they just bought. So putting an interactive display, even a small shelf display, would be exponential, just being able to interact with the consumer and give them that extra touch point, and also maybe, recommend, hey, if you're buying this wine, this might complement it next time. Or if you're buying chicken and fish, either or both, maybe you want to get on quickly right there to buy both bottles of wine. So I think technology is definitely one of the things that as a grocer needs to be looked at so many different ways.
Yeah, I agree. And I came out of digital signage as well. And one of those things that, 15 years ago, it was talked about, but you really couldn't do that in display or, on shelf display.
The shelf talker type
really
displays,
well.
yeah.
I mean, how do you mount a 40-inch plasma monitor on the shelf? You can't do that. But
right.
The technology's really gotten there now. Actually, with stuff like power over the Ethernet and modules that ELO has, you can really do that. You can enable that experience right there. And we've talked about this on the podcast about it's all about the experience, right? From the consumer standpoint, but also from the retailer's aspect. They have to realize that they got to up their game a little bit when it comes to upselling or communicating at the point of sale. That is that's the revolution, that's part of the revolution that's happening in the retail space is messaging at the point of sale, like you can do in that online environment. Oh, online, I click on whatever, this smoked Gouda cheese, and it'll say, oh, here's a good wine pairing with that. Well, how do you enable that in the actual physical world? Well, you can do that through interactive display. So I'm really glad you touched on that, Ruth, because I do think that is one of those areas that you're going to get a lot of run from this type of thing. Let's also talk a little bit, Ruth, about smart cabinets and stuff like that, because I know ELO does open frame stuff there where you can enable folks like that. I guarantee you we have a lot of resellers who they're grocers, whether it's the big ones like Kroger, okay, we just assume they're doing cabinets and stuff like that. But even the small and medium-sized ones I think are going to start doing these smart cabinets, right? Those types of pickup things.
Absolutely. And smart cabinets are kind of the newest and latest technology where, it almost makes you scratch your head like, how do you do that? But you have your interactive display there, one of the ELO open frames that fit nicely in there. And the consumer can order their grocery needs online through their mobile app, and they can, set a time to pick it up in store. You don't have to interact with an associate. You don't have to talk to anybody. So if they're still in that comfort zone of, hey, I don't feel safe being, that close to anybody, they can go and just scan their QR code from their phone. It'll tell them which locker their food and items are in, and it pops it right open. So super convenient, automated, and kind of cool technology to think about.
It is, and here's why I think those are going to get a run in the grocery store. Getting back to some of the pain points that I think grocery stores are having with the whole online environment. I got to tell you, I don't know that they got produce right, because of all the things whenever we do pickup or delivery to home or whatever, we are super critical on strawberries and blueberries in my house because I eat those every day.
Right.
And it's like, when you get the store picked version of those, although the Instacart people, for some reason, they scrutinize the quality of the product that they're putting in your basket. But some of the major ones out there, I don't think they've got this just right. Their pickers are just throwing anything in there. They're not looking at the strawberry. Oh, no, that's fuzzy. So that's not actually a good thing.
Do you ever feel sometimes like they're like, we need to get rid of this, so I'm going to throw this in their cart?
Yeah, I think so.
I hope that's not the case, but sometimes I do. I'll get something, I'll pull it out and be like, This is all like
so
banged up,
they
or
go
it's
into
like
your
old.
cart too, because we thought it only went into our cart.
No,
You know,
it feels that way to me too. Sometimes you get something and you go like, really? Did I just get the last thing that was at the bottom? They knew they weren't going to sell, so they threw it in mine because they knew I'd take it home and wouldn't complain about it.
That's my point exactly, right? So we're all experiencing that. But think of the hybrid. Why the locker would be great? Get all your dry goods via the locker.
Yep.
So I
And then
get
do your fresh
80% of my stuff, and I'm just going to get my produce and then hit the locker on the way out. Boom. It's
like
cut
that.
down my time a lot. That's why I think that's, it's kind of a hybrid situation, right, Ruth? I mean, it could be for those folks that are just not comfortable, but it might be that hybrid solution where, if they pick my olives and my mustard and stuff like that, they usually get that right. But I'm picking my lettuce and my strawberries and my blueberry kind of a thing.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
I mean, we've actually talked about that as a family, like doing curbside or pickup and then quickly running down to the produce aisle and getting our, bananas, our avocados, and the tomatoes we like. Like that, because like you said, you can only, add so much information in when you're doing an Instacart or Amazon Fresh or anything like that, where you say, please make sure this is ripe, or please make sure it's green. I don't want this. I'd rather have that. Not everyone's going to know your preference. So like the hybrid model, I think that's pretty much it right now for the folks that still want that comfort of, I want, somebody else to pick out my dry goods, but the fresh stuff is all me.
Yeah. Yep.
You're both speaking my language here because, and there's a couple of things I thought of. One, the idea of being able to go somewhere and not have to interact with people, and it's not because I'm uncomfortable with COVID necessarily anymore. I feel like I'm not as bad about that anymore. It's just like I'm just a misanthrope. I don't like to talk to people if I don't have to. There's days I just wanted to go do my thing, stick my earbuds in, just leave me alone. But I think the other part of it too is, and I've mentioned this before, that we are a world that's accustomed to screens.
Yeah.
We're all used to them. We stare at them all day long, got one in front of me, had them all around us here. We got our phones, it's always in our hands. We're used to that. And I think that is where like digital signage can play such an important part of a shopping experience or any experience when you go out somewhere, because we're all attuned and ingrained to check out a screen. If there's a screen somewhere in our line of sight, we're probably going to pay attention to it versus a static sign versus just the typical shelf talkers. You're right. I think that stuff catches your attention. And I've noticed that as I've seen stores, add some of this stuff, like if I'm in a store and you might see some that have the little digital shelf talker, it's kind of thing where they're not necessarily using it for every part of the aisle, but maybe just to highlight some very special products or something. It always catches my eye. I always notice it. The other day, I think I was in Kroger and I was literally on my way out. And this is a great example of an impulse buy thing here. I was walking past the bottled drinks area, like, sodas and teas and stuff like that or whatever. Well, my Kroger had set up the digital doors. So now, like when you walk past it, it's not just you looking through the glass at the bottles in there, which I wouldn't have paid attention to. It was digital signage, like the entire wall of all the doors was a giant digital sign that shows you all the stuff that's behind it. It's all like kind of like moving a little bit and like kind of catching your eye. And I stopped and I was like, well, I kind of am thirsty, and that cherry Dr. Pepper sounds pretty good. And I totally did. I opened it up and I ended up buying one of those. Would not have thought about it doing it before. I've got drinks at home. What did I need to get that for?
Right.
But it did it. It worked. It caught my attention.
Yeah, I think that, I think that's the messaging that's coming down to, into the retail space itself. That is you're gonna start seeing a lot of that, but meaningful, right? Like, good stuff that's happening. And then hopefully we'll tap into AI so that it knows your personal preferences and things like that. But
yeah, that's all I need is to walk past something where the sign's like, hey John, hey, you want this Diet Dew right now, don't you? Come on, you're thirsty, get over here. Like,
here's a picture of it on whatever, Darth Vader.
Yes, you know me very well. Yeah,
there you go.
Just Darth Vader holding a soda out to me. I was like, all right, fine.
Yeah, I'll buy it.
Or more importantly, what they'll really get smart and what they'll do is find a way to lure my kid in. I'll be there with my kid and managing to maybe somehow avoid the toy aisle because he's busy with something else or playing on his tablet or something, and something will pop up and be like, hey, Miles, looking for the hot new toy? I can just see it now. Daddy, the screen says.
Look. Yeah.
All right.
Good stuff.
Well, thank you, Ruth, for helping us dive into some of these trends. Before we move on to our recurring segments, I want to, as always, thank our TEConnect sponsors, of which Elo is one. They are always contributing great, smart, amazing guests like Ruth, so we appreciate their support of our show. Hey, if you are watching the podcast right now on YouTube, hit the like button. Let us know you liked the episode. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you liked or didn't like. Give us your thoughts on grocery trends. Subscribe to BlueStar Inc. YouTube channel.
That's right.
Share it with your friends. Let other people know what kind of stuff we're doing here. If you're listening on the audio platforms, especially if you're on Apple, give us a 5-star rating and review. Tell us what you think about the show. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. Be nice. Maybe a little about some of the stuff you don't like. I mean, we're still a little sensitive sometimes, so whatever, we can take it.
Yeah, really.
And if you have thoughts about the show, if you want to share with us your ideas, if there's topics that we have not touched on yet, please tell us what you want to hear about. You can reach out to us on Twitter at TEConnectPod. You can also email us, TEConnect@BlueStarInc.com. All right, let's wrap things up here. First of all, let's talk value to the VAR. And this is where, Ruth, we've kind of mentioned a little bit about what ELO does here and there, but I want you to, in particular, kind of get into some more details about how ELO is helping our VARs to position this kind of new technology to grocers. And I think let's especially dive in on the local and regional ones. We've talked a lot about big picture stuff. And we've mentioned a lot of the Krogers and Publix and, the big stores that are out there that we know have the money to do this. But if you were talking to a VAR that's mostly dealing with local regional chains that are fairly small, don't have big budgets, how would you tell them, where would you tell them to start with incorporating some digital technology, signage, mobile computers, in order to capitalize on some of these trends?
Sure, John. I think you brought up a good point. They all don't have to be enterprise grocers. Starting small or medium grocers, they also need the help too with technology. So with ELO's modular technology, the VARs can show grocers how to set themselves apart from their competition. So whether it's a little bit of new technology, interactive at the deli area, at the produce, or even pharmacy, beauty, putting product information, interactive displays, they can set themselves apart and they can create engaging customer experiences. We all talk about different ways we are comfortable with, but don't forget, it's also an experience. So whether you want to sit in your car and wait for your groceries to be delivered to your car, that's your own experience. When you go inside a grocery store and it's refreshed and it has new technology in it, doesn't have to be everywhere, you can start small and test. And with ELO's modular accessories like our TEConnect, if you put something somewhere one day and it has a 2D barcode reader, like a touch interactive display, and the grocer says, you know what, I don't think it's getting a lot of attention or a lot of interaction, you can move that to another location. And that's one of the best parts about our interactive displays, whether it's our all-in-one compute systems, whether you start out with the grocer at their checkout lanes and you're only doing a interactive touch display that the associate is facing. Don't forget, you can add interactive displays for the consumer because you have them there at that touch point for X amount of minutes. And if it doesn't work out or you want a different size, then you can take it and move it to a different area. So think about not just placing an interactive display in one area. Think about the modularity and future-proofing it. So you can always move it somewhere else. You can turn it from landscape to portrait, add different accessories on to the sides, top or bottom because of our TEConnect accessories. So what I'm saying is sky's the limit. Don't just, keep yourself in the box of, hey, the checkout area, touch interactive displays, maybe one of ELO's compute systems underneath the counter. Think about customer service area. Maybe they want to get rid of some of the clutter of all the different hardware there, and you might want to offer them an all-in-one touch monitor with the compute system built into it to reduce the clutter and reduce the real estate that technology is taking up. So multitude of areas that you can help small, medium grocers in, even just to start out with.
Yeah, that's awesome. And she's right. I mean, what we love about ELO is that they're so innovative on the modularity, which is so necessary when you're trying to develop a flexible situation. We talked a little bit about also the back of house or enabling those folks in the aisle with the M50, which is kind of a newcomer for ELO, getting into the space of a mobile device, Android based on that front. But another thing that I'm going to throw on the table about ELO that I personally love is their ecosystem. They've got got a great ecosystem. So when you think about the hardware, yes, of course, Elo's got it, but they've also got a great ecosystem with the ISVs, or as we call them, TSCs, that are out there, technology software companies, because as a reseller, I know that, you want to start playing in the game, or you want to enable your small to medium-sized grocers that are in your region or in your area, but maybe you don't have the relationship with the digital signage company like a SkyKit or something like that, or maybe you don't have enablement through POS that somebody like a Grubber or somebody else might be able to bring to the table. So Elo has that ecosystem. They have a great ecosystem. Tyler Botts, I'm going to give him a shout out because he's their ISV manager. He knows and he can connect you. So if you need help, we have people on our staff as well. We've got a great Elo team. But don't feel like you're out on an island. These solutions are out there. They're happening at a very, very fast pace. As a reseller, you don't want to be left behind, but there are solutions out there, yes, from a hardware perspective, but there's also an ecosystem out there that we can help you tap into to make those solutions a reality. And that's one of the things I think Elo does really, really well.
Yeah, hard agree. Well, I will, because I'm not going to have anything else better to say about the hardware, the software piece here. I'm going to throw some stats out there because I love my stats.
We love stats, yes.
And I think this is good stuff that you can take to your customers and explain to them why they do need to be thinking about these things and looking at this particular technology. Good. So this was some stats from storeage.com. It was a survey of customers about a digital shopping experience and what they expect out of it. All right, so here's some good stats for you. 83% of respondents believe informative digital screens would save time during shopping trips. We've already discussed that. That's you can say the majority of people.
83%.
Yeah, the majority of people want digital screens. They think that would help them with their shopping trip. Why don't you have them in your store? Of those who do a majority of their shopping online, nearly 50% say that informative interactive displays would be the most enticing feature for them to shop in person.
To bring them back.
Exactly.
There you go.
And then 55% say they prefer to shop in person for food and grocery items above any other product category.
Right. So that's what we're saying. The grocery store is where it's at, man. Yeah, absolutely.
So there's some stats you can take with you to your customers to explain to them, hey, I'm not approaching you with this stuff just because I just want you to have whatever technology is hot that I can sell and shove into your store somewhere.
That's how those small and medium
figures to back it up.
Yeah, that's how they're going to compete in this world, right? Even all the way down to the small and medium-sized companies, they have to embrace these types of technologies. Right. Yeah.
And to the point both of you have made, it's not about adopting everything. It's not about, hey, we're going to reinvent your store and turn it into just one giant digital experience. And you're thinking, well, I'm just Moe's Corner Shop, right. I have 80 regular customers and just, a few looky-loos here and there. Why do I need to go all out about this?
Right.
You can start small and find ways to help them start small so that they can get what they need that's going to draw people in and attract the folks maybe that aren't already buying there. And hey, who knows, Mo, maybe one day you're going to get to open up and expand and add 12 more stores across the region. You never know. And this might be a good start for you.
Yeah. So I like where Ruth was going. I mean, talk about your in-shelf. What grocery store doesn't have a little wine section, but a little tutorial
I like that.
Little interactive thing. Okay, I got shrimp and chicken. What pairs well with that? Oh, I need a little display there to help me out.
I like that. Yeah,
it's a small step.
I like it. All right. Well, hey, let's wrap up with what's tech connecting with you. This is our favorite fun segment where we get to talk about something in the world of tech, science, innovation that has our attention or has caught our eye recently. Ruth, I'll let you start. What's tech connecting with you right now?
Sure. Well, in my eyes, everything's going to get smaller, faster, thinner, sleeker, and I guess hopefully we can say even sexier than what we've seen before. But what you mentioned, the M50, our mobile handheld device, I can't wait till we launch our M60 that has payment integrated into it, which kind of adds the icing on the cake since we're talking about grocers. But we also have some new Android all-in-one devices, and we are seeing quite a trend with grocers and a lot of retailers, the uptick of their development teams having Android development teams. It's a lot less expensive for an Android device, but not only that, we're seeing things like our next generation Android all-in-ones are going to have stands where the hub is built into it. So we talked briefly about, lessening or reducing that real estate that the hardware is taking up, making a more clean, aesthetically pleasing environment at the grocer space. But even things like not only the hub is going to be built into the stand, but a customer-facing display can be built into the stand. And we know with Elo's hardware, we're always trying to make it modular, flexible, future-proofing it. And we also have options where if you don't want a customer facing display built into the stand, we have stands where you can add it on afterwards. So whether it's our 10-inch, 13-inch, but these are what we're seeing in the future. And these are the technologies that really do excite me because it's going to make things so much nicer for grocers and make things, opened up and just, I don't know. I'm a girl, so I always I'm visual. I love seeing stuff that's sleek and pleasing to the eye, per se.
I like it. You're right. Technology does have a way of making the retail environment a little bit sexier, than just especially grocery stores.
Oh, yeah.
Small to medium sized ones at that can be a little stodgy sometimes.
Right.
Throw in a nice looking little kiosk or something like that, or self-checkout. Man, instantly you've made the whole environment that much better.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. Hey, here's the headline that I got from my TEConnecting with you. The age of holograms is upon us. Were you aware of this? So there's a company out there now that claims holoportation will let you beam yourself anywhere in the world. Okay, so the company is Portl. That's Portl. They sell a 7-foot tall booth, which you can utilize and really beam yourself anywhere that booth is, I guess. Right. So it's like a 2-part. There's a studio where it's got cameras.
Right.
Portable. Like you could set it up, but then it's this 7-foot tall booth that you can put anywhere. So they're putting them in like trade shows. Of course, they're putting them in convention centers, they're putting it in meeting rooms and stuff like that. But it's literally so the picture that they have there is like a human being, but you can see him full 3D angle being teleported, if you will, in this booth.
That's awesome.
So holograms are coming. They're now available. So not only do they have this 7-foot booth, but they're also calling it Portl Mini. So they have a little one that comes out. I don't know that I'm so much on board with this thing, but it's like 12 inches tall. And so it's like the same thing.
Right.
But you see a little person in this like little itty bitty
But
booth.
so because we keep referencing Star Wars in this episode, because that's what we do.
Right.
If you remember, the hologram technology in Star Wars was kind of like that. Like there was a point where they were like invading Hoth, and like their little Darth Vader appeared on the dashboard there to have a discussion with them. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yep. So anyway, P. Diddy beamed in from Florida to his son's birthday party. You've got Swiss watchmakers making it so their CEO could be an event in Shanghai. I mean, that's how this
Wait, back up a second. So P. Diddy didn't go to his kid's birthday party. He came in as a hologram?
Well, yeah, I was kind of hoping you would pick up on that.
Oh, man. That's parenting of the year. I mean, I guess it's better than not being there at all, but...
Yeah, right? I mean, so if he can afford to rent one of these Portals, I don't even know what they go for. Let's see. I think the unit itself is... the total price of the Portl Epic, which includes hardware and software, is $100,000. So you kind of have to be at the P. Diddy
That's for the P.
realm.
Diddy's of the world. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, to do this hologram. But I don't know what this Portl Mini is going to go for. But I guess to your point, maybe it's got to start out small. We're going to start out with these little itty bitty holograms of people.
Yeah. I don't know that I necessarily always need to see people in 3D or like full body, but whatever,
Well, I don't know. There's so many language cues that you pick up on, right? And that you just can't
That's
get
true. That's a good
flat.
point.
So,
but can I also point out that I am tired of tech companies dropping vowels from their names? I seriously am.
Right.
Portl without the A. Like, come on.
Come on.
Every tech company, it feels like, especially software companies, are all doing this now.
So early zeros. Right?
It really is. Like it's one of those. Yeah. It's a. I feel like it's a millennial trend of some sort.
Totally,
like,
I agree with that.
It's like I don't know who just and I wonder if it's like all wrapped up into the whole like text culture of shorthanding everything. Like, but you do every time you see new technology. Let's just drop a couple letters out of it.
Maybe that's the only way they can get venture capital.
Maybe
when they go in and they make their pitch. Well, we got to drop vowels.
Yeah,
I mean, they're not going to take us seriously.
It's like that scene from The Social Network when the Napster guy, whatever, tells Mark Zuckerberg, drop the in Facebook. Drop the A in Portl and you got a deal.
You got a deal.
All right.
TEConnecting with you.
So, who here has watched Squid Game yet?
No, I've heard a lot about
Ruth, have you watched it yet? Marco? Oh, I'm the only one so far? All right, I will not tell you much.
Okay,
I won't tell you much about it. I've only watched a few episodes myself so far, so I'm trying to not hear any spoilers that I can avoid. The basic premise of this show, this is a wild show. It's a Korean show, which I highly recommend watching it in Korean with subtitles. The dub is kind of awful. Most dubs are awful, but this one really seemed bad. So
so it's shot in Korea. Okay,
yeah, it's a Korean show.
Okay, got it.
This has become, Netflix claims this is their biggest show ever. Ever. Because, I mean, it's got a huge worldwide audience.
Oh, okay.
Now, granted,
Got
Netflix
it.
is always shady and mysterious about their numbers. They don't officially release anything.
Right.
They're claiming this is their biggest show ever.
Okay.
The premise, though, is basically a group of people are invited to play games.
Okay.
These are all Koreans who they all have crippling debt.
Oh,
like,
okay.
All of them
Got it.
are deep in debt and do not
one
have
reason or another.
Right, for
Yeah.
various reasons, do not have a way out.
Okay.
So they're all invited to come play games for a chance to win some money.
Okay.
And all these people, show up. They are all kind of like outfitted. They're kind of like almost not kidnapped. Like they willingly go, but then they get gassed and taken away somewhere. They all wake up like in almost like prison type jumpsuits. There's like over 400 of them to start.
Okay.
And they're basically told by all these people wearing masks and suits or whatever, to hide their identities, like, we're going to play some games. So the first game they take them up to, which I won't get too far into, is basically a game that I'm not familiar with, but it's basically children's games they're playing.
All right.
This one's called Green Light, Red Light.
Yeah, okay.
Which the concept is basically like, someone standing at the other end, turned around, and they sing out green light, red light, and when they're done saying red light, they turn around, and if you're moving, you're out.
You're out. Right.
Well, they do that, except there's a very bad ending for anybody who's still moving. I'm giving that a little bit away just because it's the very first episode we get into this stuff.
All right.
But anyway, it's the game has very terrible consequences for people who lose potentially.
Oh.
So it's kind of the way I've just been describing it to people. It's kind of like a capitalist version of like Hunger Games and Running Man, and these kind of like throwing people into desperate situations, but also gamifying it, for others' entertainment sort of thing.
I see.
Fascinating show, very fascinating, interesting themes that they're diving into. I'm excited to watch more of it. I really want to get, kind of binge a few episodes if I can soon. But I won't give anything more away than that. But it's a very fascinating exploration of what people are willing to do for money.
You were going to say, Ruth?
It just reminded me of Hunger Games.
Yep.
Just like you said.
Yeah.
And now I'm almost feel pressured to watch at least one episode.
If you watch the first, I promise you, you're going to be hooked. By the end of the first episode,
really?
There's no reason in the world you wouldn't want to keep watching.
I've heard the rumor is it's a little gory.
It is, yes.
So if you don't like gory,
at least, I mean, the first episode I didn't think it was super gory, but there were some violent moments.
Okay.
Yes, it is a fairly violent show.
So you're not watching with Miles?
No.
Okay.
This is not for kids at all, by no stretch of the imagination.
So what does it say about our society, in global society, that this type of show is like the winner? This is what everybody loves to watch.
And it's very interesting because it's the same reason that like stuff like the Hunger Games has been so fascinating, because everyone's always kind of like, well, we act like we wouldn't want that. Yeah, we act like we wouldn't want to watch it, and yet more of us than we care to admit would probably watch it. Yeah.
I'm going back to Ted Lasso, the other one you told me to watch. That's a good show.
Yeah, Ted Lasso is much more wholesome. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, that's what's TEConnecting with us. Ruth Cooley, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, gentlemen. My pleasure. Appreciate it.
So until next time, folks, we do have to unplug. But hey, until next time, also, if someone offers you to come play some mysterious games,
maybe not
for lots of money, maybe say no. Just know there's other ways you can potentially get around your debts other than that. So, and until next time, please stay connected. The ELO 5053L 50-inch 4K touchscreen monitor provides a brilliant canvas for adding interactivity to any environment. Perfect for everything from endless aisle and brand experiences to menu boards, collaborative meetings, and dashboarding, the 5053L digital signage display offers a sleek, slim design built to withstand the rigors of continuous commercial use. And with ELO's computer modules, you can easily turn the display into a powerful all-in-one life-size 50-inch tablet. Available with ELO's industry-leading Touch Pro PCAP technology, enabling up to 40 touches, or infrared with up to 20 touches, ELO's 5053L delivers fast and extremely sensitive response time and anti-friction glass to minimize heat as fingertips drag across the screen. To learn more, check out the link in the show notes or contact your BlueStar ELO representative.